All right, what's going on, and welcome back to this DGen challenge where I'm trying to trade from $5,000 up to $50,000 by any means possible. So before I get into the new purchase in this portfolio, let me walk you through how this challenge has gone so far. And the TLDR is not incredibly. Now, if we look at what I have in that wallets right now, in my Solana wallet, I currently have around 2450. And then on the base wallet, I have about 1430. So in total, I'm down about $1,100 from where I started, slightly more than a 20% decrease. Now, given that I started this challenge in early February, that is kind of to be expected. Some people in my last video wanted me to compare this to the price of Bitcoin and what this would look like if I had just purchased Bitcoin at the beginning of the challenge instead. Now, obviously, Bitcoin has been kind of down only. And actually, if we compare the results of if I just took that 5K and purchased Bitcoin on the first day of the challenge instead of trying to trade some of these meme coins and AI coins and things like that, I could have bought 0.051 BTC with that 5K, and currently that would be worth 4,400. I would only be down 11% as opposed to slightly more than 20%. Now, realistically, actually, that's not a terrible differential. And given that I'm taking some pretty insane risks with some of these purchases that I've made, it actually is kind of shocking that it's not down more. Now, if we take a look at the assets in the portfolio, the two biggest positions I had were originally Jupiter and Arrow, and both of those tokens are down significantly from when I purchased them. These are still, in my opinion, strong DeFi tokens on Base and Solana respectively. However, the performance over the past 2 months has been quite abysmal. Another purchase that I made early on, which I am kind of regretting, is Virtual. I wanted to get some more exposure or get some exposure to AI, and Virtual I think is an interesting play. However, I am now starting to wonder whether or not it's actually better to cut my losses here and pivot to something else. But that is not the point of today's video though. The only bright spot in the portfolio right now is Fartcoin. Now, I purchased some Fartcoin back here, somewhere around 50 cents. So that purchase is more or less even right now. But I also did DCA some more down here, closer to 20 cents. And so as a result of that, Fartcoin has now actually become the largest position in my portfolio because it's gone up so much from the bottom. I also did put a smaller amount into this Ponzi Infinite Money Glitch token, which didn't pan out. Honestly, probably should have expected that. And you'll notice that there's a new token in the portfolio called DYOR. So let's talk about that and why I've started adding this to the DGen portfolio. So this is the chart for the DYOR token. And the provenance of this and the backstory behind it is quite interesting, which is why I've started buying a little bit. Now, there's a few people on Twitter that have good threads explaining what this token is and where it came from, and that is why I decided to purchase some of it. So one thread is from this guy here, Ben Mesrich, and then the other thread is from Blesh. Now, the backstory behind this DYOR token is that Meow, the founder or co-founder of Jupiter, actually launched the token, and it's been kind of an under the radar experiment that they've been running. There's actually on-chain proof that the deployer of the token is associated with the Jupiter team. And I don't know if you follow Jupiter and Meow on Twitter, but actually a few months ago, he did talk about how he was going to run an experiment about turning meme coins from PvP into PvE. Now, that was actually months ago when this token launched back in September, and really it did nothing for a while, started pumping in early March, has since had a little bit of a pullback, but I've been buying a little bit in here, and I think it's in an interesting spot because it's recently started to get more attention on Twitter. And actually, Meow is even engaging with people talking about this token on Twitter. So for example, here in this tweet from Ben, we actually have a response from Meow saying, yo, yes, in talking about the DYOR meme coin right here. And there's another instance of this where, yeah, Meow reacts with a winky face to a tweet from the DYOR profile on X. Even accounts like Wall Street Bets here, which has almost 1 million followers, have started taking note of this token. So it is getting a little bit more attention. And there was a little pump yesterday actually as a result of some of these interactions. So yeah, given all of this and the fact that the guy that launched the token is one of the biggest players in the Solana space. The Jupiter team wallets themselves are actually involved in at least deploying this token. It's starting to get more attention on X, but is still super, super cheap in terms of a valuation perspective. Makes it an interesting position for me, not to ape a huge amount, but just to bite off a little bit and see what happens. Because I honestly could see a situation where this absolutely moons if we get a couple of tweets from relevant people about it. And then on the other hand, the downside to this, it's only trading at 1.3 million market cap. Sure, could go to zero from here, but I think the upside is significantly more if we're just talking about sort of the risk reward profile here. The liquidity that's locked is more than 10% of the market cap, which I like to see. The bubble maps looks relatively healthy. There's a little bit of wallet linking or bundling on a small scale here, but it's pretty dispersed, so that's not too bad there. So yeah, this is the latest play in the wallet. So far, I've only purchased 46,000 tokens. I'm planning to sort of follow along with it, maybe DCA a little bit. Looks like maybe we'll get a little pullback, but might not. So that's why I started deploying a little here. So that is it for today's video. I'm gonna try to bring more frequent updates. It's been a few weeks since my last video, but I got incredibly sick for a while there, which really knocked me off my feet for a while. Starting to get back into it, and I will bring you more updates on this DGen portfolio. The challenge is still alive and well. And despite the fact that the market has not been doing amazingly right now, I think that it could be still a solid opportunity for me to deploy and see some solid gains. Because like I said in most of my previous videos, the premise still remains the same. Either I'm just risking 5K and the markets go to absolute shit and we hit a bear market for a couple of years, or this is a pullback and an excellent buying opportunity for some of these solid assets. So hopefully you found this video entertaining. Thanks for watching. Not financial advice, and see you later.